guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called Top 25 Places to Visit in Austria. So it's a travel guide. I have to say I don't really know much about Austria. I know it's like a tiny country, like nestled in like probably like it's in the around the middle of Europe. I know it's surrounded by a lot of countries, but I know it's tiny. However, I do know, I don't really know how it looks like, but I do know that, or at least I believe in, that it has to have like incredible landscapes, because I'm pretty sure the part of the Alps are located there. So, you know, it's gonna be quite stunning. So, you know, I am hopefully we're gonna be seeing a lot of like incredible views. But let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe.
My name is Ryan, and I spent the last few years exploring the country of Austria, and I want to share with you my favorite places and experiences. So here's my Austria top 25.
That's stunning.
Located in Central Europe, Austria is one of the most beautiful countries.
This, right off the bat, like this looks something out of like, I don't know, doesn't even look real. I think it looks like when I imagine like a little, like a picturesque village in the middle, like in a European sort of like countryside village. Like this is what I am imagining. And it's like, no, it's true, it's real, it exists, it's in Austria.
In the world. From picturesque lakes to via ferratas that'll get your heart pounding, Austria is waiting to be experienced. Let's start this video off at Hallstatt. Of all the places in Austria, Hallstatt is one of the most famous, and with reason. It literally looks like a town straight out of a Disney movie. Located just an hour's drive from Salzburg, Hallstatt began as a salt mine nearly 7,000 years ago, and today it's one of Austria's most visited villages. When I was there, it was hard to find parking in Hallstatt, so I decided to go to the nearby town.
So having cars like in the middle of like this little village, it sounds like, do they have cars? Because it looks like you're traveled back in time, and because of also like the nature that surrounds it, it's like so stunning that it's like, why aren't you having, obviously I know realistically you need cars to actually get in, and people obviously need to drive cars, but it looks a little bit like, no, why do they have cars over there? Like it looks so like, no cars, just bikes and walking. Like it goes more with like the whole vibe of this town.
Of Obertron, which is across the lake, and from there we took the ferry into Hallstatt. It was about 15 euros a person, and the ferry was awesome because as you come into Hallstatt, you get a perfect view of it from the lake. I highly recommend taking the ferry into the village. After it, we had a great...
I love that the water looks green because it's reflecting on the actual like greenery of the actual mountain. That's incredible.
Great time just walking around Hallstatt. There were swans hanging out on the lakeshore.
Oh my God.
And after it, we decided to walk over to the photo spot that gives you the famous view of Hallstatt with the church. Afterwards, we went to the Marktplatz, which is the market square, and it was really interesting to walk through, and there were some beautiful timber houses. I personally enjoyed just walking.
Imagine living there, like you're one of those houses, you're in the middle of this incredible village that doesn't even look real, and you're like right in the middle of like the village of like in the marketplace. Like, oh my God, like how is your life real? Like I would be questioning that myself like every single day.
Wandering throughout the village, it's easy to see why it's one of the most famous places in Austria. Another cool thing that you can do in Hallstatt is go up to the skywalk. You take up the Salzburg Bahn, and you can check out the skywalk and also go to the Hallstatt salt mine. After, we're going to visit the nearby village of Gossau. It's located just 20 minutes from Hallstatt, and when I was in Austria the first time, I came across this town by accident. I was just driving through, and I couldn't believe the mountains, accompanied with the beautiful churches.
I like, seriously, this is what I mean. Imagine just like driving through and you just like see this. Of course you need to stop because it looks so incredible that you're like, no, we need to stop here. But it's incredible that you just like, you're just found this by accident. That's crazy.
Of Gossau. It would be a dream to live here. Just up the road from Gossau is a lake called Gossausee. It's an incredible spot surrounded by the impressive Dachstein Mountains. I was really surprised by the clarity of the water. It was just so blue. There's a nice trail that goes along the lake, and it was really nice to walk along, and there's also a great hotel and restaurant.
The snowy capped mountains are like, oh my God.
Restaurant up there. One of the main reasons I wanted to come to this area was to do the famous sky ladder Via Ferrata. I've been wanting to do this Via Ferrata for years, and it took me 4 tries to do it, mainly due to poor planning on my end and some bad weather. Now to get up to the start of the Via Ferrata.
Can we go back to the skywalk? How was it? I could see like, obviously it was like a drone sort of like clip, but I have so many questions about this. I was like, what? Do you wear a harness? Do you need preparation? As in like, I'm trying to think, do you need preparation? As in like, you need to be, I don't know, like you need to do climbing? What is that? Oh my God.
I took out the gondola from Kusasi, and from there it was about a 20-minute hike to the spot where you start climbing up the mountain. I was so excited to finally do it. I got hooked in and started climbing up the mountain. I will say it was pretty exhausting, and there were some parts that were really exposed, but it was fairly easy to do. It took me about 2 hours of climbing to reach the famous sky ladder.
It's like it was easy. I do not know how easy it is. You have to. I think maybe it's a mental thing, not just a physical thing. Maybe the physical part is it's the least of your problems. It's the mental thing of like going through this part that you're just literally walking on air. It's like you're walking on a rope. Like that seems scary.
Didn't realize how big it was. I did it on a Saturday morning in fall, and there was a decent amount of people, so eventually I waited my turn. I was a little nervous as I got going. It was wobbly at times, but overall it was pretty easy, and you're always hooked in, so it's basically impossible to fall. After a few...
It's impossible to fall. Okay, well that's good, that's reassuring, but if I'm there, I'm not thinking about like, oh, it should be easy enough. Trust me, I'm not thinking like, oh, I'm not falling. That would be like my number one thing. I'm definitely gonna fall off this cliff.
A few minutes of climbing, I made it to the end of the sky ladder. Now from here, you can either end the Via Ferrata or you can continue climbing. I decided to keep going, and this part was probably the hardest. Some sections were climbing straight up the mountain. It took me about another hour, and I finally made it to the summit. The peak on top is called Grosser Donner Kogel, and there's a cross up there which I thought was pretty cool. From here I got an insane 360 view of all the peaks in the area. The mountains up here are just amazing. Afterwards I had to descend back down to the gondola, and that took about an hour. So if you decide to do it, expect to take anywhere from 4 to 6 hours to complete the whole Via Ferrata. It was very exhausting, but it was an incredible experience and one of my favorite things that I did during my time in Austria. After it, we're going to visit the Dachstein Glacier. Located about an hour and 10-minute drive from Gusau, the glacier is situated on the Dachstein Massif, which is the same mountain you can see from the top of the Via Ferrata and also from Gosau. Now to get up the glacier, you can take up a gondola, which costs about $55. It rises up to this beautiful mountain station, and it looks like a James Bond lair. When you're up top, you're at an elevation of 2,700 meters. There are people skiing on the glacier in October when I was there. Now another...
Of course, I keep forgetting. Yeah, of course you can ski. Like, there's no, of course. But I think, like, I don't know. It just depends on like what you're into. But I'm thinking like, I don't know. I want to go like leisurely, just like take a walk over there. Especially, I don't know if you've already done the skywalk. You're like, oh my god, do not talk to me about like extreme sports, and not that actually like snowboarding or like skiing is extreme sport. But after doing the other thing, I think you'll be like, I'm fine. Just like, just walk me there.
Another cool attraction up here is a suspension bridge that you can walk on, and there's also this stairway that goes up to nothing.
How sturdy is it? After the other, I'm traumatized.
Nothing that gives you a great view of the area. The mountains are on another level up here. Now afterwards, we're going to visit the beautiful city of Salzburg. Surrounded by the Alps in western Austria, Salzburg is one of the most beautiful cities in Austria and Europe. Salzburg literally translates to salt castle. It's got its name because the main source of income for the city during medieval times was salt extraction. Today Salzburg is renowned
that explains the salt mine. I didn't know that.
For its Baroque architecture, and it's one of the best preserved cities north of the Alps. The crowning feature of the city is a Hohensalzburg fortress. Its construction began nearly 1,000 years ago, and it continued to be expanded on throughout the ages. Today it's one of the largest and best preserved medieval castles in all of Europe. After, we're going to leave the city to visit one of my favorite lakes in Austria, Wolfgangsee. I remember stumbling upon this lake by accident as I was driving through Austria, and I was just stunned by the beauty of this place. Located just 30 minutes drive from Salzburg, Wolfgangsee is one of the most beautiful lakes in the region. I mean, the water is so clear, and there's so many beautiful mountains and villages that surround the lake. One of the main reasons I wanted to come to this area was to visit the Schafberg Mountain. This is another place I was just so excited to visit. What's unique about Schafberg is that you take a train to get to the top. The train is located in the town of St. Wolfgang. It costs about $50 a person to take the train up. As we climbed up the mountain in the train, I mean, I just couldn't
cheaper than I thought, because I think the experience is priceless.
Believe how steep it was. After about 30 minutes, we made it to the train station. From there, we hiked up to the top. There's a restaurant and hotel, which I think would be really cool to spend the night at. I particularly love this one viewpoint that was situated between the restaurant and the hotel. It shows how steep the cliff is, where they are built, and it offers a beautiful view of the area.
How do they build this? Like, that's my number one question.
I enjoy just walking around up here and admiring the 360 view. You can see so many lakes such as Wolfgangsee below. We also walk to the ridgeline to the east and offer some amazing views of Schaffberg. If you're in the area, you gotta take the train to the top of this incredible mountain peak. After, we're gonna head to the town of Traunkirchen. Located about 30 minutes away, Traunkirchen is this idyllic village built on this little peninsula on Traunsee. It's insanely beautiful, especially with the...
Bro, I think all of them must have bodies of water surrounding them, either a river or a lake, which I find so incredibly stunning.
A massive mountain across the lake. I really enjoy just walking around Traunkirchen. People were swimming in the lake and enjoying the warm summer evening. We found this trail that took us up to the church that is built on the hill overlooking the town. After we explored more of the area and just walked along the lake, and it was so peaceful. Austria is blessed with so many beautiful towns and villages.
Yeah.
While we're still in the area, we're going to visit Attersee.
Oh my God.
Just 30 minutes from Traunkirchen, Attersee is the biggest lake in the Salzkammergut region and the third biggest lake in Austria. When I was on top of Schaffberg, I could see this lake in the distance. It's absolutely massive.
Oh my God,
and the scenery here is next level. If you want to go on a good drive, you can explore the road that loops around the lake shore. After, we're going to visit another beautiful lake, Grundlsee. Located about 30 minutes from Hallstatt, Grundlsee is the largest lake in the state of Austria and it's surrounded by the Dead Mountains. The scenery here is just incredible. I enjoyed relaxing on the shore. A good amount of people were enjoying the water.
There's like a mountain like in the background that is like so weird looking. It looks like a cone.
There. If you keep driving past Grundlsee, you'll come to another smaller lake called Toplitzsee. This lake is absolutely beautiful, especially during the fall months. I mean, this part of Austria is just blessed with so many scenic lakes.
Okay,
After, we're going to visit one of my favorite castles in Austria, Burg Hohenwerfen. I remember the first time I saw this castle as I was driving on the highway.
Yeah, you have a highway. I was gonna say, like, there's a highway like surrounding this. That's insane. You're walking, you're like driving on the highway, and you're seeing like in the background, you're seeing this gigantic castle. That must be like an insane experience.
And I couldn't believe it. It's situated on top of this rock pillar, and the castle dates back nearly 1,000 years when its first fortifications were built there. Over the centuries, the castle continued to grow. It was used.
It's crazy. Like, obviously, I obviously someone has to maintain this, but it's crazy seeing like the surroundings, sort of like the landscape of the garden is like perfectly like maintained, and then of course you have like a very old castle surrounding them, and just like, you know, the actual woods. It's kind of like, it's kind of crazy. It looks like the garden doesn't belong there.
As a military base, residence, and prison. Today it's a museum, and you can tour it, and it's also the sister castle to the one in Salzburg. I personally think it's one of the most scenic castles, not just in Austria, but all of Europe. Another one of Austria's most impressive castles is Hochstrevitz. Located in southeastern Austria, Hochstrevitz is built on this rocky outcrop, and it dates back to the 9th century. My favorite feature of the castle is the 14 fortified gates that were built in the 1500s to defend against Turkish invasions. According to local legend, the castle
oh my God, okay, it's like 1,500 Turkish invasions. What a trip.
Never was conquered, and enemies never managed to get past the 4th gate. I've never seen a castle with so many layers of medieval security. Today, it's possible to tour the castle. Yeah, I could see that there was like one in the middle grounds, and then in the lower ones, and in the middle ones, then in the higher grounds. They had like several levels, which I assumed they also like posted like, I don't know, people like fighters or something. I don't know. During parts of the year for about $20, and you can take a funicular up, or you can also make the steep but nice walk to the castle.
Imagine actually living there. Clearly, no one should in this day and age, but gotta be crazy. Like, if you don't have a car, it's like, oh, you can just drop me off here, and I'll just walk half an hour to my front door. Afterwards, we're gonna head to the capital of Austria to visit Vienna. Located in the eastern part of the country, Vienna has been ranked as one of the world's most livable cities. It's a perfect combination of medieval and modern architecture. Vienna is known as the city of music. Musicians gorgeous, but it looks very vintage, like very old-timey. Such as Beethoven and Mozart called Vienna home. One of the most impressive places is the Schönbrunn Palace. It's a summer residence of the Habsburg rulers and has over 1,400. They don't have, I think, the modern monarchy, right? Like the Austrian royalty doesn't exist. That's not a thing. They only have like a president, if I'm not mistaken. But at some point in time, they did have kings, right? So that must be where they lived.
Rooms. There's stunning gardens and mazes to explore around the palace. After, we're going to visit nearby Wachau. Located about an hour drive from Vienna, Wachau is this beautiful valley situated on the Danube River. The area is full of incredible scenery and vineyards. I think it's particularly scenic during the fall time. There's some beautiful villages along the river such as Dernstein. Another interesting place in Wachau is the Gatwijk Abbey. It's perched on a hill overlooking the valley, and it was first built in the 11th century. Today the abbey can be toured, and it's currently home to about 30 monks. After, we're going to head to Austria.
It's like a big place for only 30 people.
State of Tyrol to visit Innsbruck. Located in western Austria, about a 2-hour drive from Salzburg, Innsbruck is a magical destination situated right in the heart of the Alps. It's one of the world's best destinations for winter sports and has hosted several Winter Olympics throughout the years. One of my favorite features of Innsbruck is the colorful buildings that line the Inn River. I mean, they're so unique. Now, another beautiful town in Tyrol is Kufstein. Located about an hour's drive from Innsbruck, Kufstein is the second largest town in Tyrol. The crowning feature of the area is the Kufstein Fortress. It dates back over 800 years and has switched ownerships between Bavaria and Tyrol throughout the centuries. Afterwards, we're going to head back to the mountains to visit Lake Stillup. It's located just an hour-and-a-half drive from Innsbruck, and it's this beautiful lake in the Zillertal Valley. And I love the sharp mountain walls accompanied with waterfalls. It feels like you're in Rivendell or something, and the area is just beautiful, and there's some great hiking and a restaurant you can visit while you're there.
There's a restaurant?
Still on the topic of waterfalls, we're going to visit the nearby Krimmel Falls.
Oh my god.
It's located about an hour-and-a-half from Innsbruck, and it's home to the tallest waterfall in Austria with a total height of 380 meters. It's a tiered waterfall with 3 stages, with the largest individual waterfall being 140 meters tall.
Oh my god.
And the area is so beautiful.
And the
power of the falls is impressive to see. After, we're going to visit Zalmsee. Located about an hour from Krimmel, Zalmsee is this picturesque Austrian town on Lake Zell. This area began to grow as a luxury tourist destination back in the late 1800s for Austrian and European aristocrats.
The late 1800s. It's been like the spot to go since, like, I don't know, for like 250 years.
During the summer months, it's an excellent place to enjoy the water, and during winter, it's an ideal place to ski.
Oh my god!
I mean, Austria is just home.
It's incredible to think that's the same place. It looks so different.
Home to so many beautiful lakes. After, we're going to take a drive on one of Austria's most famous highways, the Grossglockner High Alpine Road. It's the highest road in Austria at 2,504 meters. Now, it costs about $35 to enter, and I drove up the road where I was just stunned by the view of the surrounding mountains. Now, depending on when you come up here, the scenery can be very different. If you come in the summer months, it'll probably be green and there might be some snow. And if you come in the fall, it gets a very dramatic brown color. While you're here, you can drive to this lookout called Edelweiss-Spitze, and I love the road leading up to it because the road is made up of hand-laid stones
that line
up the mountain. I mean, the view up here was just awesome. Another cool spot up there is the Zeidelwinkel. There was this fascinating watchtower. Now, while you're up here, you can also visit the Passersee Glacier, which is just a short drive over.
Okay, something that has surprised me so far is that there's like so many glaciers. I was not expecting so many glaciers. I know that they're in the Alps, but I don't know. I kind of like, I don't really like think of when I think of like, you know, that part of Europe. I'm not thinking of glaciers, but of course it makes sense. Like, it's very cold. Also, like, this road looks like very interesting. That would be a name for it. It looks kind of scary. Like, there's this, like, it's very steep, and it's also like those curves are like very, very narrow. So you need to be very careful while driving this.
Biggest glacier in Austria, and there's a nice parking and viewpoint area on top. And when I was there, I found this path that took me all the way down to the bottom. I love the color of the lake, the contrast of the blue water.
It looks like a volcano. Like, some volcanoes have like water. I don't know how to explain it, but there's like some volcanoes that have like some sort of like lake at the bottom or something, and this looks like that. Like, the color reminds me of this. Maybe it's like the sulfur or something.
Against the scenery of the mountains and glacier is a sight to see. Afterwards, we're going to head to the state of Vorarlberg. Located in the very west of Austria, bordering Switzerland, Vorarlberg is home to some incredible mountains and lakes. One of my favorites is Lunar.
I love that the lake is sort of like hidden between the mountains. This is so pretty.
It's this peculiar lake that is shaped like a heart. Now, to get there, you take up a gondola and you can walk around the lake. And there's also some places you can hike up to get a higher perspective to see the lake's heart shape. Another interesting place in Vorarlberg is the Silvretta High Alpine Road. It's this mountain pass with 34 hairpin.
All the high alpine roads are like, you need to be very careful while driving this. I don't know if you would go around driving this in like a Porsche or something, because it's like, I can't go like that fast. Like, look at this road. It's very narrow as well.
Turns, and there's some beautiful alpine reservoirs. On your way up from the west side, you'll pass by Vermundstausee first, and then after, you'll pass by the Silvretta-Stausee, which...
This is so weird looking because it looks like a pool. Like, it looks like someone built this, as in like a human like built this, because it's like when you're like in a pool and it's like, I don't know, you can see like underneath, you can see like the, I don't know how to explain it, but it looks like a pool. And also that water looks so strange. It looks cloudy in a way that looks like it doesn't look real.
Which is a massive reservoir with some phenomenal mountain scenery. Another cool feature about this part of Austria is that it's home to Lake Constance. Located in the northwestern part of Austria, Lake Constance is the largest lake in the country, and its waters are also part of Switzerland and Germany. The lake is fed by the Rhine River, and there's so many beautiful resort towns along its shores. An impressive place to get a viewpoint of the lake is from Fonder. It's a beautiful peak with a restaurant. You can take a gondola or drive up there to get an amazing...
I can just imagine someone like having a house there, and I can see like, oh yes, imagine like every afternoon or every morning when you're waking up and this is your view. Like I can see it so clearly.
View of Lake Constance, which shows how huge it is. For our final destination, we're going to visit Oberhütte. This is another one of the places I was most excited to go. Located about an hour and a half from Innsbruck, Oberhütte has become one of the most well-known hikes in Austria. To get there, you drive up the Schlieggeisfeier Reservoir, and from there it's a steep hike up the mountain. I didn't realize how hard it was going to be, but it was definitely challenging. Along the way, you get great views of the reservoir below. After over an hour of hiking, we made it to the Oberhütte, which is a...
Compared to the other one, I'm like, this is a piece of cake.
Restaurant and hotel, while it was closed for the season when we were there.
Oh no!
We walked just a few more minutes and made it to the famous bridge that stretches over this mountain stream. The bridge is not that high up or very big, but if you take a picture zoomed in, it looks like you're high off the ground. And there's a really cool spot, and the surrounding scenery is just incredible with the mountains and reservoir below. It's definitely worth the hard hike to get there. Well, that is it for my Austria Top 25. There's still so much to explore in this country, so I gotta make a part 2. Let me know where your favorite place is in the comments below. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at shirley.films. It's Ryan, and we will see you
later. Oh my god, what are you doing? Get out of here. Okay, yes, this was incredible. Now I am adding Austria like to my list of like places to visit because that was incredible. I think my main takeaway, several things. Obviously, I mentioned it earlier. I don't really know anything about Austria. There's like the Alps are like, they have like so many mountains, which of course is not surprising. But I think something that I definitely will take into account in the future is that you have to visit in the autumn. I think that was like, because I think my favorite clips were all in the autumn. I think they're all, I know that obviously other seasons they have their own like charming little things. But I think, like, from the clips that I saw personally, I think my favorite ones were the ones where, like, oh my god, those, like, trees are very, yes, of course, they're very orange or brown. And I loved all of them. Like, there was, like, I don't know, there was some of them, there were, like, so many stunning places. There was one that was called, like, CD, something like, it had three names. That one, I think, was my favorite one. I would definitely visit those, and the ones with the waterfalls, I think those were, like, those towns were like, oh my god, there's something about them, especially like the first one I think was like Stillup or something. The whole, or Sulup, the waterfall, like the way that it was, like in the, I don't know if it was like the moment in time that they just sort of like went. The fact that it was all like gray and it was like rainy, I don't know, it makes it like more special, which I think is a crazy thing to say because obviously when you visit some place, you're like, oh, hopefully it's sunny. But it's like, no, I want it to be like cloudy. It looks so pretty like this. It's all like foggy and, you know, with a waterfall, you have the river. And all, there's like a greenish tint. I don't know how to explain it, but I loved it. It reminds me a little bit, not that it's obviously the same, but it's a little bit like Portland, a little bit like Seattle, but you know, this one I think it's a little bit better. I don't know. But you know, it's like that, you know, it's like foggy and it's sort of like gray, but in a beautiful way. Not necessarily like, oh, it's great, it's super, you know, great outside and it's rainy, it has to be like ugly. No, I think this is like the perfect place where like you want this kind of weather. But the autumn one, I think those were like absolutely my favorite ones because they were like, oh my god, it looks like a million times more stunning. Also, like the vineyards, I didn't know they had like a region in particular, they had vineyards, but the way that, not just for because I want to have like the Austrian wine, I would love to try it, but the actual sort of like the scenery itself, like it was stunning. I was like, what are those like little plants? And it's like, yes, I think they're grapes because it's a winery, but it's incredible. And yes, I want to have like Austrian wine. Now, the thing that I'm like a little, you know, obviously all the places look incredible. The skywalk, I think, was my favorite, like the sky ladder. you know, I don't know. Like he was like, no, it's gonna take you a long time. Yes, you need to be like, I think in good, like you have to hike. You know, not just hike because it's a climbing situation. You really do need to obviously practice, and you have to work up to this. Like it's not just like I just went to Austria and I was like, oh yes, I'm doing this. Unless you already have like some sort of background in like mountain climbing. It's not that it looks. I get that. I think that it's not just hard in the sense of like, again, oh, I need to be like, I'm not like free soloing this. Of course, you have your harness on, so it's impossible to fall. But it's like, okay, if it weren't like that hard to fall, I think everyone would do it. But I think it's got to be like you have to be more involved. You have to know how to climb. And also, because again, I'm wondering if you need a background, at least something, but can you actually do this? If you don't really have any, I've never done climbing in my life. Can I do this because I'm wearing a harness and it's not dangerous? Or it's like, no. You need to have something. Also, as well, I already mentioned like the mental state that you need to be, I think, very prepared. Because I don't really know the level of love. Like this is a hard sort of thing, even for experienced like mountain climbers, or it's just something that like any normal tourist can do. Like I would love to know. I think you need to have, again, it's not just like you wake up one day and you're in Austria and you're like, yes, I want to do this. No, I think definitely you need to have like some sort of like, it's like climbing the Mount Everest. Like you need some sort of like previous preparation for like 6 months beforehand. It's not just enough to like, oh, I'm in great physical shape. It's like, yeah, well, good for you, but this is hard. This is harder because it's not something that you're used to. But you're like a runner. This is not the same thing. So, I'm wondering if you need to be like how prepared you need to be as in actual like physically, and not just like physically as in like I'm in good shape. No, just actually, the actual mountain climbing, things that you've done before and places that you climbed before. But I think it looks insane. Like the angle from that, it was like him in the ladder, and the camera was like here, and you can see like the whole thing and like his body. That is not for the faint of heart. I'll say that. It's like, because even if you already know, like, yes, I've done mountain climbing before, this is completely opposite and different from what I could expect. I think it's just the fact that it's just like you're so naked and sort of like surrounded by everything. And I don't know, it's just the ladder. Like it's such a huge step. It's like I have to take the first step in the ladder. And also, having said that, I would love to go to the last place they mentioned, that it was also like, apparently it was a hike. Obviously it's different. Mountain climbing and hiking are like very different. I prefer hiking personally, but I love that one. And it was like, it didn't look that hard. He was like, no, it's harder than it looks. I didn't know that. Obviously I believe him because he was the one that went there. That it looked kind of like easier maybe, like especially if you've done other things, like you've done the skywalk. This is nothing, I'm just like here, just like walking, because I think, again, it's like hiking. I think it's just, compared to like mountain climbing, hiking, it's just like you're just here. And maybe like, yes, it could be hard as in like it's incredibly steep, and yes, you have to like you have like these giant rocks, and you have to like, oh my god, kind of almost like climbing, not really, but you have to be like, wow, this is hard, and it's like taxing on my body because I'm getting tired. But that's just like something I think it's manageable. You're not thinking I'm gonna fall to my death here, which I think it would definitely be what I was like the forefront of my mind. That would be it if I'm like doing this sky ladder, like I'm gonna fall and that's it. So instead of like in the hiking, it's like, well, yes, this is hard and I'm tired, but I'm not dying. So I don't know, even that little bridge that they showed at the end, like the bridge was like, when you're walking, the thing's moving, and that makes me like so scared, even though it wasn't that high of a fall. And I know realistically, like, can you tell me if there's been like accidents here, like in this bridge, and if it has fallen before? People probably from the area can tell you, even though maybe they'll be like, no, absolutely not, because they want more tourists. But it's like, yes, there's been accidents. I don't know, maybe that's just me. And, I'm thinking like the thing's gonna fall, but it's like, no, it's unfounded. It's not gonna fall. But yes, I now want to visit Austria, specifically in the autumn. So now I have another like country that I want to visit, but in a very specific like time period and in a very specific season. That was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.